Hey gang, Jeff from Muscle Cars and Hot Rods, and on this episode we're back on our 66 Chevy Nova project, and we are doing little bits of final fitment on that AMD quarter panel we just put on it. So check it out. Alright gang, we're back on the 66 Chevy Nova, and we're going to fix up that trunk gap. A little bit of a too wide of a trunk gap. Let me show you what we got going on. That's a little bit of a demonstration or illustration, so you can start off on the same foot that I'm
over
at.
Here you really don't have to go through all this, but let's see. I basically took a piece of tape and I somewhat followed that nice little arch going in, and then I took a measurement from the tail light, and I came up 5 inches, 10 inches, 15 inches, 20 inches, and blah blah blah. I took my little tape measure wherever I put it, right here, and I measured, and then I came over to this side and did roughly the same thing. Now you don't have to go through all that, but I figured it helped to understand. I also took this old set of calipers and I put them on the 15-inch mark, and then I set them just to where that corner there starts to flatten out for the quarter panel. And I brought them over to the same measurement on this side, and you can just see. Actually, it's looking like we're like a ½ inch there, but really we're about I don't know why it looks so wide, but really we're about a 1/4 inch. There we go. About a 1/4 of an inch gap to make up here in the middle. So all the usual suspects. We're gonna take the little 3/32 inch, and we're gonna plunge a little hole in there, and then once I get all the way through, I'm gonna take my saw, my tiny little reciprocating saw, and I like this because it makes a little bit of a cleaner line. And you know how it is when you're using the abrasive to cut, crap just goes everywhere, gets in the face, gets in the eyes, shoots sparks all over your arm, and you can be tough and say yeah, but really when you go home at night it's like, damn, that was stupid. So there are many different ways you could go about doing this, and one way we could probably just cut a few inches, open it up, tack it up, cut a few more inches, open it up. I'm just going to go ahead and probably cut all the way forward here. So I'm going to go quite a ways into it. I know that my lower taillight pocket flange is ending right about there. There it is, I'm through. Okay, so I went ahead and got the hole most of the way open. I'm a little bit further than halfway, and I took these duck bills, stood them up, and I got my 3/16 inch gap opened up with them, and I did that by closing the deck lid all the way around and shoving this in there. This is a thick shim and a thin shim for anybody who's just tuning in for the first time, and this is approximately 3/16 of an inch. Stood it up. So what I noticed when I was standing it up that flange up, was as it stood up, it actually got a little bit high to the deck lid. And so let's just take a quick look at what's going on. So yeah, we sawed it open, we cleaned up our E-coating, We opened them up, and as it was opened up, it got a little bit higher than the deck lid. There you go. So this is exaggerated right now, but you can see that we're a little bit high, so I have to go through and make measurements comparing to the original quarter panel and get that lip the same height all the way around. But you can see we've got quite an opened up gap here, and this is where I stopped. Right here is where I stopped opening it up. After I get a few tacks in along here and get it settled up, we'll continue to work our way up and around. Oh, good news. As I started measuring, I realized that that lip really wasn't that much difference. So it just took a little bit of finessing. So what we've got down here is our proper distance. We've got a piece of aluminum backer clamped in there. And we're just going to set a couple tacks in place. Okay, we'll just continue to measure our gap with our 3/16 inch spacers and using the duck bills to open this gap up here on the quarter panel wide enough, and we'll continue to work our way up.
Okay, this is a way that I had learned a while back, and while I was talking to a buddy of mine last week, the topic came up again, and I had kind of forgotten about it. But what's nice about grinding down your tacks this way is it allows to, it kind of prevents two things: warping from getting it too hot, and then also cold starts. So you get better penetration with that first tack, rather than if you had a bunch of high bulb tacks on there. So continue on, and all I'm going to do is place another tack to the side of each one of these. And we'll continue on and so forth once again. Alright gang, there we are. Doctored up a trunk gap and deck lid gap to quarter panel. Let's see. Learned a few things on that last video. First off, I just wanted to apologize to anybody suffering from like alcohol or narcotics abuse, addiction problems. I mean, shouldn't make light of it or joke, but no, just having a good time. Anyway, learned a couple things on that one. Number one, we're looking over here. Messy Laura commented that it's interesting we didn't have door rubbers, strikers, latches, and the deck lid and all that stuff in there for fitment, and that is true. And goes on to mention how you could have issues or find issues in after paint. You get your seals in there, and then surprise, surprise. And I have had that to where I've had to like sand down rubbers and custom modify them, and so hey, that's why we put it out there. I'm screwing up, you're gonna screw up, it's part of life. But yeah, something to definitely think about there. The second one was from Musty One, which is something kind of cool, and it was something that I had kind of learned way back when I first started welding, and then, you know, as you get lazy and whatnot, things fall by the wayside, and that was to keep the torch over the weld until the glow goes away, and that'll help with porosity because you're shielding gas, you're kind of trapping your shielding gas over that, because yeah, you get your contamination when the oxygen wants to hit that. So there was another good point. Quickly, let's take a look at our gap first. Got to excuse the laptop. There's a gap. I ran out of shielding gas. I still have to weld around the taillight, which I wanted to wait until I got the taillight and trim so I could do any little bits of adjustment I needed to do. Here's one. When I was taught for making sure you get good penetration on a plug weld, these are plug welds. Spot weld is something that I would consider to be done with a resistance type welder where two electrodes come together and so these are plug welds. But you should be able to look to the back side and
while it's still red and glowing hot, you should be able to see that on the backside. But here you can see that, you know, we've obviously made good penetration all the way around. And here's one for you guys who like to spot things at car shows. Here's an overlooked area often when you're putting a quarter panel on a show car. A lot of times on a Chev, you'll be able to look up under these drip wells and see if they addressed your drip channel spot welds, because as you get penetration, you get a slight downward bulge, which is different than a spot type resistance weld up there.
Like I said, I'm out of shielding gas, and those little tanks, man, I mean, granted, this one leaked, so I had to turn it off every time I wasn't using it in order to milk it. But is it me or what? Those things, I mean, I've already bought a bottle since I began on this project, and I've only done not too much welding yet. So I think I'm going to get rid of the consolidated, because now that I'm no longer working down at Photo Finish, that thing is way on the other side of town, and so I'm probably going to go with like Prax Air, or what's the other one? Slips my mind right now. But you know, one of the other guys here that's kind of on my way home where I can stop and get one. But I think I'm going to step up and get the little bit larger bottle, and I use the argon CO2 mixture. There's that. Rudderfy, YouTube user Rudderfy, post the video. Man, I got some great news when I woke up and was checking out the comments from yesterday's video this morning. And Rudder says that he's run into Chewy over there in Germany, and he says he took some video of the Pontiac Firebird, 1968 Chewy's Pontiac Firebird that we did at Photo Finish a few years back. And I've got to say, on the record, that today that was one of my most fun projects. I really enjoyed working with Chewy. The man had vision and went for it. And it was also kind of nice that he was shipping out to Germany, and that car had to be done. I mean, granted, we didn't get the interior finished, but the car had to be a running, driving car within a certain date. So if you guys ever go back and look at my playlists of Chewy's Firebird, the 1968 Firebird, it is without a doubt probably one of the best cars I've ever built, and it was very fun and exciting. The paint and body came together in 10 weeks time, and I was pushing myself on that. The complete drivetrain was done by Chris and I in 1 month's time. He had a local car builder named Rich build the Firebird 400 for it. He had another local guy, Cliff's Transmissions, build the Muncie for it. We just shoved some nicer axles into the stock diff, and it was just an excellent build. All the suspension came together. Chris, the owner of Photo Finish, is one hell of a suspension guy, and all around hot rodder. Guy's quality, man. If you ever get a chance to know him and you're into hot rods, he's a good kind of guy to meet. Anyway, rambling on, like always. Make your comments, leave them, educate me, educate everyone else. And that just goes to show that you can't just listen to someone like me or any of these other guys on YouTube. You got to kind of take a collective amount of knowledge, and that be through YouTube, videos, books, people who are in the field. Anybody you can sponge off that information, put it all together, apply it. You're going to screw up. No way around it. You're going to screw it up. But if you don't get out there and do it, you're not going to learn. I've always said you could learn more from the worst car in a car show than you can from the best car in a car show. Go and look at those flaws and wrap your mind around what happens, so that when you apply it to your projects, maybe you can do a little bit better, because that's what it's all about. The generation before us passed the torch on to us, and we're going to pass it on to the next gen. And hopefully one of these days, who knows what the future is going to hold. Alright, we'll catch you on the next one. Rudder, post that video, man. I want to see it. Catch you guys later.